Hello Pokemon fans, this is ProPokeNoob back today to bring you another battle. Today it's going to be a standard Ubers match against a person by the name of Yamimoto. Now, I know you guys see a whole bunch of tiers mixed up and these things don't really come close in days, but the thing is, to be quite honest, I just have a few battles saved up from a few tiers, and you might see more Ubers and Yu more around this time just because I have more battles in that area, but do not be discouraged. I will try and get every tier up. I'm just working on teams that will get me good battles, decent battles, fun battles, interesting battles, battles that are out of this world. But enough about that. Let's look at this actual match. So, this is the sand team that I did use before that I asked suggestions on. I will take your suggestions into consideration. I'm actually impressed with some of the stuff that I got, mainly from you, Metagross. He did give me some ideas that I can do with this team, mainly to deal with Kyogre, because that is the theme of the weakness of my team. But, Ew, this is for you. This battle actually, Ho-Oh does a lot of work against a rain team, and you don't get to say that very often. So, that tells you how interesting of a battle it is. But, obviously my opponent is running well, not a sand team, I'm running the sand team. He's running the rain team. The only thing that is really scaring me, other than the Kyogre as usual, is the Kabutops with the Swift Swim, but I do know that I have the Skarmory, which is physically defensive, as well as a Giratina to step in. It doesn't have to be physically defensive to take it, he can just take it on. But everything else looks pretty much standard. I don't know what that Arceus is, but in the ways it leads, I pretty much figured the best thing that I can lead off with is Giratina, because I thought he might want to get his weather up right away. He actually leads off with Deoxys Speed, which didn't occur to me at all. But then I realized, you know what, I have the Will-O-Wisp, I can just try and burn this guy, get rid of his Focus Sash that way, but then, of course, he carries Taunt, because I'm stupid. So I'm just going to go for the Dragon Tail. It does essentially the same thing, except he gets a layer of spikes up. But I am going to put him into Kabutops, which is a nice thing for me, because now he's going to have to switch out since he can't do anything. So I am going to switch out into Skarmory, which I figured can take on the Kabutops, but he just switches back into Deoxys Speed. Now, I knew the Taunt was coming, so I'm just going to go straight for the Brave Bird. I'm not screwing around. I want this thing dead before it can set up all of its layer spikes, stealth rocks, whatever the heck it wants to do. So I am just going to go for the second Brave Bird, take this thing out clean, and that's going to be the end of any fast, speedy, screw with your team stuff. But he is going to send in the Thunderous Therian. I don't know what this thing wants to do, so I'm just going to go into the Undertaker, which is specially defensive to take most of his hits. He actually goes for Volt Switch, which is okay with me because he is going to switch out, go into his Dialga, and that's kind of scary to me, though. So I figured, okay, well, let me just try and get a burn on this thing because it is a Steel type. Let's just try and get residual damage. Kind of works out because he has a defensive set with Dragon Tail, so it will not do as much damage as he brings in Sandy, the Tyranitar. He's going to bring up the Sandstorm, so this thus begins the Weather Wars because I now have the Sandstorm up. I'm going to go for the Superpower. I thought I would do more than that, but you know what? It's a decent amount of damage anyways. I figured he is burned if he just has Dragon Tail and Thunder Wave and stuff like that. Not going to do much, but he is going to Dragon Tail me out into the Alpha Ho, the Ho-Oh, and I'm like, okay, well, guess what? I could just go for Sacred Fire and finish your sorry butt off. So you're already burned. Take more burning from the Alpha Ho because Alpha Ho doesn't mess around. So Alpha Ho being Alpha. But then Kyogre comes in and thus begins the problem. So I'm going to have to switch out, go into my check, which is, well, no, the check is Palkia. So I'm going to go into Palkia. I completely forgot. And look at that damage. It is quad resistant, but he still did a fourth of my health. So I'm thinking he specs. But he does reveal that it is an Arceus Steel as I go for the Draco Meteor. I do get a crit, though, which kind of makes up for the fact that he's running an Arceus Steel, because Arceus Steel is a pain in my butt. But I do know that Tyranitar can come in, threaten him with superpowers, stuff like that. Also gives me a chance to get rid of his rain. Now, he does go for Will-O-Wisp and misses. Doesn't really matter in the future, as you will see, because I'm just going to switch out to Undertaker here. Take the burn, because I figured, you know, I have Rest and Sleep Talk. I can use this thing as sleep status blocking fodder, I guess, because he's just going to go for Recover, and I'm just going to go for Rest. So now if he ever wants to fire off another Will-O-Wisp, this is going to be the guy that comes in. Just absorb it, no problem. And plus, he probably cannot touch me as a defensive set if he carries Iron Head, but he actually carries Judgment, which I've never seen on an Arceus Steel before, so it's kind of cool. Makes sense taking out some of those bigger threats like Tyranitar and stuff like that. But I am going to, luckily, Sleep Talk the Dragon Tail, force him out into Kyogre, and I have my checkout here already so I can see, and based on this damage, I'm pretty sure he specs, because I'm max HP, max special defense, or 248 special defense, but nonetheless, that doesn't excuse the amount of damage that he did to me, so I am going to Dragon Tail again, which is kind of lucky. But into Thunderous Therian, I'm like, well, okay, you know what? Let me just go into the Alpha Ho. I have Regenerator. I can probably take most of his hits. He actually goes for Volt Switch. I take it fairly well because, you know, Ho-Oh has a lot of special defense even without it boosted. So I figured, okay, well, he's going to bring Kabutops. I can just regenerate out. No Stealth Rocks up. No problem. Go into Skarmory, which can take physical hits very well. Forgetting that the rain is up and it's going to be very painful, so I'm kind of hoping he doesn't score any max damage. I'm kind of hoping that's the damage he's going to be going around. He scores a little bit less. Yeah, he scores a little bit less, and I'm going to be able to roost off. And this next couple of turns is just going to be me absorbing and Life Orb stalling, which is kind of lucky because, you know, it is in the rain, it is stab. So, and Kabutops is not the most pathetic Pokemon, so he's going to switch into Thunderous Therian, realizing this is hopeless. He's just going to get hurt too much. But he actually overpredicts and goes for Focus Blast. Almost, it's actually kind of lucky for me because I was just going to stay in because I knew I had Sturdy, see what he's going to lock himself into. But he actually overpredicts, maybe think a T-Tar was going to come in to set up the Sandstorm and absorb it, but nonetheless, he is going to go into Arceus Steel. I predict this and go into Alpha Ho because I know he can't burn my Ho-Oh, and I can threaten it with Sacred Fire. So he is going to switch to Kabutops, go for the Sacred Fire on my part because I just want to burn something, and I do get the burn on the Kabutops, which is absolutely fine. Don't care about the damage. This thing is now crippled, so I can switch out safely, go back into Skarmory, don't have to worry about taking any damage, and he actually goes for Stone Edge, and that does nothing. So I'm in a pretty safe position here just to pretty much threaten him out with a Skarmory. So it's kind of a good thing he didn't bring me down too sturdy, but that's just hindsight, actually. I'm going to step in a layer of Spikes as he switches into Kyogre. Now, I am still going to switch out, send into actually the Undertaker, because this thing has no health to be of any use to me anymore. And the fact that he has Water Spout scares the heck out of me, so it's a good thing that Giratina took it for the rest of the team. But now I can go into Scarf Palkia, threaten him out with the Thunder, but I do know he has the Thunderous Therian, so I'm going to predict the Thunderous Therian to come in, and I'm going to switch into Sandy to set up the Sandstorm, because I know Kyogre's not going to want to stay in. He actually sends in Kabutops to be a sort of death fodder, I'm guessing. He's trying to get a switch up here, but he's not going to get any support here because he does not have the Rain. And I'm just going to switch to the Skarmory as he actually goes for the Low Kick, trying to hurt the T-Tar fairly decently. Times 4 super effective, heavy, you know, all that good stuff. But he is going to set in Kyogre, which is fine. I am going to Urk him out into it. And I figured, you know what, I've taken out all his physical attackers. Skarmory can be the death fodder to see what he locks himself into. So he's going to go for Surf. I'm going to set up the Sandstorm with Sandy. He's going to switch out because he knows I know what's going on. But I know Arceus Steel is coming back in. I'm going to go back into the Alpha Ho. I don't need Alpha Ho either, actually. I kind of wanted to fodder this thing off too in case he did stay in. But, you know, he is locked into the Surf. I could switch into Palkia easily. Maybe that's why he sent out Arceus Steel. I don't know. But I am going to get the Sacred Fire off along with the burn, so this Arceus Steel is going to fall a turn earlier, which is kind of useful. But now he's going to send in the Thunderous Therian. I'm just going to... I think I stay in? Yes, I stay in, but he actually switches out into Kyogre. Now, I don't know if that was to try and scare me away and make me switch into someone where he can nail me with Specs, but again, I don't need Ho-Oh. I really don't. At this point, I'm like, well, you know what? I'm faster than you. It could be a speed tie, and I win the speed tie, go for the Brave Bird, and take out the Kyogre. So, I mean, Ho-Oh, you've done a ton of work on a Rain team, and that is an unnatural occurrence, but... I mean, this guy is making some questionable plays. He does realize it's pretty much over because Excadrill can come in with the Sand. So, he's just going to lock himself into Thunder, pretty much throwing the game. But, you know what, there were some questionable plays in this, but it was just, it's really interesting to note that even something that doesn't necessarily show up on a team, usually, like Ho-Oh on a Sand team, I mean, it can still do some work. And it could do some work against counter-teaming, or counter-teams like Rain and stuff like that. So, I found it interesting, but nonetheless, that was an excellent match, Yamimoto. Comment, rate, and subscribe, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this battle. I will be making some changes after these next few battles that I show you with Ho-Oh and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure, as much as I hate to say it, I'm pretty sure Ho-Oh is the weakest link in this thing. Just, he's good, and I love Ho-Oh. He's my favorite, one of my favorite legendaries, but it's just... On a Sand team, there's probably better. So, yeah, there's going to be changes going on. But nonetheless, I'm really impressed with this team that I made. I like it. I don't know about you guys, but I personally have fallen in love with Sand with this particular team. Not Sand in general, but, you know. But nonetheless, that's just my fancy. You don't need to know about that. What you do need to know is the video's over. Thank you so much for watching, and have an excellent day. Until then.